Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, school violence is making headlines again. An 18-year-old in the Gelukstedt Secondary School was stabbed and killed last week. And in Kagiso, an alleged intruder was shot dead after he stabbed a teacher in the hand. Let's talk more about the ongoing violence at schools and what kind of measures can be taken to prevent it. I am joined by Dr. Anthea Cereseto, the CEO of the governing body foundation. Mr. Cereseto, thank you so much for your time here on eNCA. Talk to me about the multifaceted effects that this type of violent behavior at schools and in society have on the youth.
Right. Now, I think the important point, and you've alluded to it in the introduction, is that school violence is a societal problem. It's not a school problem alone. What happens in society happens in schools. We are seeing adults do certain things, the children bring it into school. Obviously, the older the children, the more dramatic these things are, although it's not beyond a young child doing dangerous things to other learners as well. So what's been going on as far as school discipline is concerned has to change. If we go on doing what we've always done, we'll still get the same results. So I do think we have to look at new approaches to discipline. And we have to understand that every child learner who enters school comes with whatever is behind that child in that child's life. And the behavior that happens at school is communication. We must see behavior as communication. It's giving us information. The emotions that we see are information, and we need to work with them. Now, it's been said by the teachers' unions, and I do believe our governing body associations all say the same thing. We've got to a point where schools need to have psychologists or social workers readily accessible within schools. And we need it at a much higher ratio than we've got at the moment. We need more of these specialist workers to deal with what's behind the children. That behavior is a manifestation of something else. Now, if we're dealing with highly problematic children, those who are captured by gangs or addicted to drugs, they need societal community interventions. The school can't provide all of that. So if we have social workers, if we have psychologists, they can tap into what's going on behind. And I think we use that principle of 80-20. 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of the children. So even in schools, and this is what teachers complain about, is the schools are too big, too crowded. They can't get to know the children. The children causing the difficulties are at the most 20% of all the children. And we need to focus on those. We have trauma in society. And there's a thing called adverse childhood experiences. And children who had adverse childhood experiences suffer trauma, and that trauma comes out as reactions. It's not a memory of something bad. It's a reaction that comes from inside them they've got no control over. And we need to deal with that. And teachers don't have the expertise to deal with it all the time. And so we need the support in schools. And unfortunately, I think that will mean losing a teaching post. But instead, we will have the expert that can deal with the psychosocial problems. So that's one thing. Then we need teachers to adopt different ways of handling discipline problems in schools, both the small things as well as the big things. First of all, code of conduct. The Department of Education monitors what schools report. And if schools don't report their incidences, those schools are not identified as places that need extra help. But if they report the incidents, as all schools are supposed to report incidents of violence, incidents of out of the ordinary, they can be identified. In that area, these schools, there's a group of schools that have a higher incidence of violence. Let's address those schools. Let's go and look more closely there. So report. And then the other thing is we need to move from the old-fashioned punitive. And that, of course, is corporal punishment is out. and not everybody's got there yet. And it's 30 years or so down the line, not quite, but we're 20-something years down the line, and we still have corporal punishment. It doesn't solve the problem. So we need better education with respect to how to discipline children. And we talk about restorative discipline or relational discipline rather than punitive. So build the relationship.
Yeah.
If I can quote one famous, well, not famous, but well-known saying, that every child needs one caring adult who supports that child irrationally. In other words, absolutely devoted to supporting the child. And not all our children have that one caring person. It would normally be a parent, but it can be another adult in society, or even a teacher who focuses on one child and says, I'm not going to let you fail. I'm going to support you despite all your bad actions or whatever it is. I'm going to irrationally support you to help make a success of you. So we have to have a new way of it. So we've got to begin when the children are young. And the other thing is we cannot leave parents out. And I think parents have been left out on by the school sometimes, and sometimes the parents themselves.
All right, Ms. Cereseto, you've actually answered all my questions in one answer. I still had more questions to ask you, and the worry for me would be the psychologist part, because already as a country we're at a shortage, and I wonder how we're going to do it for the schools. But thank you so much for speaking to us and for giving that elaborate answer. That was Anthea Cereseto. She's the CEO of the Governing Body Foundation.